Hello everybody and welcome to my podcast. This is Ann P. of Fiber, Floss, and Fiction, and I am back with my just about 2-week usual podcast. I'm also going to be filming my Floss Tube Whip Parade, but that will be in a separate video, so this is just my normal bi-weekly video that has my knitting. I do have some spinning today, books and reading, as well as cross stitch. So it is the 30th of December 2020, which is Wednesday. This holiday week always makes me be a little bit off as to what day it is because almost every day is the same. We're having a cold but very pretty sunny day here today, and my husband took the opportunity to take a drive down to one of the wildlife refuges. It's about a 3-hour drive, so he's going to be gone all day, and I am taking advantage of it by recording my multiple videos that I wanted to get done here for the end of the year. So let's go ahead. We're going to jump right in. I don't want this to take too long, but I do have a lot of stuff to show you guys. So we're going to start with knitting like we usually do. Let's start first with a little bit of hand spun. I finished up the Blueface Leicester hand spun that I had been working on, got that all plied up. This is the original roving 100% Blueface Leicester wool. The dyer is Fat Cat Knits, and this is the second half of a 2-braid complementary color pack that she did as part of her Mixed Blessings Fiber Club. So this is also called Country Roads. I spun the other half earlier this past fall, and this is a squishy worsted weight yarn, like I said, 2-ply and about 100 yards. Each of the clubs that she sent out were a total of 5 ounces. So there was 2.5 ounces of each of the complementary colors. So that is finished, and I have those two. I'll probably wind up doing something like I'll use this for the contrast color for either mittens or a hat or maybe even a cowl, and then a solid color commercial yarn in maybe a dark brown or green possibly, to kind of show off the pretty hand spun colors. So one of my favorite fiber bases, and happy to have that one done. The other thing, which I will show you guys, excuse my microphone, this was a Christmas gift, so hopefully my voice will be a little bit easier to hear, is what I have on today, which is the finished Marie Chen cardigan. This is a raglan shaped sweater, and it is knit from DK weight wool, which I had in my stash greater than 12 years. It was something my parents picked up for me in the UK on one of their trips years ago, and finally got around to knitting it, and I love this sweater. I will link to the Ravelry pattern page, but the designer is Isabel Kramer. This is top down, so you start here at the neckline, get everything kind of set up and work this way down. The back is just plain stockinette, so it knits up pretty quickly. I love the pretty lace cable. This is actually a fake cable. You don't even need a cable needle to do it. And double seed stitch patterning on the front. It makes it a little bit dressier, and I can see that I'm going to probably wear it with not necessarily sundresses, but like a short sleeve t-shirt and a skirt in the summer, should I ever leave the house again. We'll find out if that happens in 2021. That'll be exciting. So that one I finished up. It was a 2-week knit. It was a very quick and easy knit, and loved working with it. So that's one finished piece here for the end of the year. I also finished these. I don't think I showed you them last time, but if I did, just really quickly, self-striping yarn from Desert Vista Dye Works in the Franken Zombody colorway. 64 stitch stockinette foot and leg, 1x1 ribbing, and then a Fish Lips Kiss Heel, which I just popped in there. So super fun colors, and another pair for the sock box, which is awesome, and yet another finished piece for the end of the year. Next up, my mom. So I had knit over the past year, I've knit a bunch of things that were mostly focused on getting the yarn knit into something and out of stash. And the church that my mom and dad go to, which is in Maryland, outside of Baltimore, does a really good, it's not just for Christmas, it's kind of the whole winter season, but they do meals for a shelter, and they do gift bags for the shelter where they try to put warm things in. And this year, one of the things that the church wanted to do was to raise some money because they felt that the shelter could use kind of discretionary funds to do other things with, because things have been so crazy for so many people this year. So I sent my mom a pretty good sized box, slightly larger than one of those like Hammermill paper boxes, filled with all kinds of things I had made over the years. So mittens, hats, some socks, some shawls, scarves, just things that I had knit and were donating to them. And so my mom had opened everything up and looked at it, and she said, would you mind if I see if I can not just earmark these for the shelter gift boxes, but also see if maybe I can make some cash for the group to donate. And I said, well, that's, it's fine. It's going to go to the shelter population, and whatever you feel like they need, that's great. So the day that they were doing this whole like pack things up for the shelter and whatever, my mom went over to the church parking lot with everything in the trunk of her car, opened the trunk, and then was like wheeling and dealing with the ladies of their parish who had showed up to, help put these gift bags and stuff together. So my mom wound up selling a bunch of knitted stuff to these ladies to use as Christmas gifts, and then she donated all of the money to the church. So, my mom's a New Yorker. She has very little filter, so I can only imagine this scenario, but whatever. She made several $100s in one afternoon with knitted goods, and had a couple of things that people said, oh, well, if your daughter ever makes X, I'll take it. And one thing that a lady said, I will give you the cash right now if she can make this for me. So of course I said yes. The lady wanted a repeat of the Heartwarmer cowl, which I had knit, but she wanted it in like her description was an Irish green. So went through stash, and I found a skein of 3 Irish Girls sock weight yarn in the colorway Rowling, and I reknit the Heartwarmer cowl. So here it is finished. It's the sampler cowl that I knit earlier this year in a bright turquoise. So loads of fun stitch patterns, these fun baubles, some mistake ribbing, some smocking, some lace, little cables up here at the top. This is a great pattern if you have one of the larger skeins of sock yarns, like over the 425 mark, because I used all but 3 yards to knit this. But this is done, so I'm going to ship that off to my mom to give to this lady who donated the money for it, and I'm going to start for this year's box as soon as the new year clicks over. Okay, next, the project I forgot to bring last time but have this time is my finished polygon blanket, and can't quite get all of that in the viewfinder, but I think you get the gist of it. This was a super fun knit in all these great colors. I used, it's written as a DK weight, but it's really a sport weight sampler set of this stone washed, that's the yarn name itself, stone washed. That's this great cotton and acrylic blend. Lots of fun colors. I edged it with the same colorway, and it has these fun chevron ends at each end. And I did it kind of as a rainbow gradient. So I started with, you know, reds, pinks up here at the top, and I went down through blues and greens down to neutrals here at the bottom. So that is complete. And that one actually was done the last time. Sorry, I have itchy nose today. That was actually done last time. I just had forgotten to bring it up to show you guys. Okay, so I'm currently working on 2 projects, and let me show you those. The first one is a pattern by Casapinka called the No Harm, No Cowl. It is a very big, generous cowl, and I am almost done it. It is DK weight. Oops, here I got my ends hanging out. And it's 3 different colors. So there's this kind of warm pinkish brown. There's this really dark, it looks brown, but it's actually like a blackish purple. And then there's this multicolor. And everything is either knit, purl, or slip stitch. That's all this cowl is. And you can't really tell because it's still on the needles here, but it starts here and there's 2 sets of increases to get down here to the bottom. So I have half a round left to finish here at the bottom, and then I'll bind off. And I'm gonna wait and do the bind off January 1st. The Harry Potter knitting group that I've been participating in with Ravelry has a detention. And if you have a project you can finish up that month, you get 10 points for your house. So that is what I will be using for my detention project, and I'm going to do that the first and get it off the needles. The yarn that I'm using for this is from Miss Babs. It's her Yowza DK weight base, and she has these 3 half skein mini packs on her website that they pre-curate, so the colors are already picked for you. You don't have to figure out what you want. So this is dark adobe, which is the kind of pinkish brown color. Remember this because my other project has very similar colors in it. This is Lurch, which, like I said, is a really dark purple, purpley black. And Rainbow Jasper, which is the multicolor. And I actually have some scraps left over. You can see I have a fair amount of each of those. And I have another pattern that I'm looking at knitting at some point that requires like 20 to 50 yards of DK in 6 colors. So you may see those colors come back again once I finish that project. So that one's almost done in the home stretch and will be finished on the 1st. Next, I am working on another iteration of the Soldotna crop by Caitlin Hunter. You might remember this one. I knit it last year, this past year, April maybe, March, something like that. And I used a very similar color scheme to what was here, but I used Woolly Wonka fibers. I dyed the colors for myself and knit that up and sent that to the yarn guys to use as a shop sample. So I actually do not have a version of this to wear. So I had gone through Stash. I was trying to kind of sort some things and pull some things for projects that I wanted to work on this upcoming year. And I picked 4 colors I thought would work really great together. This is the first. It is from On the Round. It's the colorway Dark Star, which is kind of a black currant, kind of red purple. This colorway, which is from Dragon Horde Yarns, these are all DK weight, by the way. I've just lost the colorway name. Firehearth, something like that. And so you can see I'm obviously on one of these like dusty pink color kicks. On the Rounds DK, this is the colorway The Unmentionables. It's a pale pink speckle with copper and kind of dark cranberry as well in it. And then this was the Moody November Club, November Club from Hedgehog Fibers. I don't think there's a name for this colorway. It was just the color that they sent as that month's club offering. So I have gotten started on it and I'm working on the yoke. And here is where that is now. And I love it. I love it, love it, love it. I love the gray and pink combination and this dark black currant colorway. Very nice. I love it. So I'm looking forward to having that one done. However, as I had mentioned, I am participating again this term in the Harry Potter group on Ravelry. And since none of the projects other than detention can be started before the month begins, that one will wind up being a detention project at some point. When I get it close enough to being finished, I can turn it in. So it may go on hold for a while once the new term kicks off on the 1st, but we'll see how that goes. And it's not a very long knit, it's short sleeved. I am going to make it longer than this. This is only like 9 inches, which is very short. I would like it to at least hit the tops of my jean pockets. So I'm going to extend the body down, and the main color of the body is this pale pink. So stay tuned on that. I'll work on it as I have time for, but it may go into hibernation for a little bit and then come back out. So lots of knitting. Obviously, I've been busy. But I think that's it for this go round. As always, links to all of the knitting information will be down below in the text box. And just grab me if you have any questions on those. We're going to go on and we're going to talk reading and books next. Okay, so books and reading. Let's just talk first. If you've followed me on my last podcast about reading, you know I read a book that I loved called Truly Devious. I did go on and finish books 2 and 3 in that series. I will put the links to that entire trio of books down below the Goodreads link in case you have interest in reading that. I highly recommended it. I actually recommended it to, of all people, my doctor. She was looking for a good Christmas gift for her teenage daughter, like early teenage daughter. And I recommended those because I think she would like them. She's into theater and lots of stuff like that. So I loved them. I thought it was a great series. So thank you again, Tiffany, for recommending those for me. I thought they were fantastic. So let's go on with the 5 books I have to talk about today. Try to get through these fairly briskly. The first 2 are part of a series. They are kind of books 1 and 2 about one set of characters, but there are books previous to these 2 that include other characters that are in this particular world created by Alona Andrews, one of my favorite authors. I've read several other things by her. This is a separate set. It's a new series to me. And the 2 books I read were Sapphire Flames and Emerald Blaze. And the main character in both of these, Catalina, is everybody who has magic in this particular world of theirs has a certain type of mage magic. So they are kind of specialized. There's some that can control the waves. There's some that can manifest into an animal form. Her sister's one of them. She's human normally, but she can manifest into a very powerful animal. Catalina is someone who is a siren. So think about the mermaids of ancient lore who lured men onto the rocks and shipwrecked them. She can kind of unfold this charisma that's part of her magical power, and people kind of can't say no to her when she does that. And she has felt this as a burden for many years, because before she was able to control this magic, she basically, anybody who she was attracted to wound up becoming a stalker for all intents and purposes. She couldn't get them to disengage from her. So she's really kind of tamped down this power and has kept it under control. She is now, in this book, the first set of this series, which I have not yet read, deals with her older sister and kind of her struggles. This talks about Catalina kind of coming of age, and she is now the head of her house. And their house conducts investigations, like criminal investigations, detective work, among other magical families. So they do, surveillance, they figure things out. The book opens with kind of like a search and rescue mission for a service animal. And the books are very Ilona Andrews. If you like her writing, her and his, it's a husband-wife duo that writes them. If you like the writing style in others of those books, you will enjoy these. They're sort of paramilitary and kick-ass heroines who are kind of socially inept or have had enough oddities in their lives that they tend not to be very self-confident, even though they have amazing sources of power. So the two books kind of follow her sort of initial head of the household. Now she's running this as a business, and that particular adventure. And then Emerald Blaze is the second one, and that follows up with more and also kind of develops the romantic relationship that starts in Sapphire Flames. So Mind Candy books, perfect for vacation. I really enjoyed them. I as I said, I like this author's writing style. They're highly addictive. So if you like them, I'm recommending those as well. Next up was a book I read called Jane and the 12 Days, and this is by Stephanie Barron, who's written a lot of other books, Jane and the Something, that feature Jane Austen as a sleuth of some kind. This particular one is of the same vein, although I think it's not considered part of the whole Jane series. It's more of a standalone, and it's set during the 12 days of Christmas, so the 12 days following Christmas proper, at this house party that she's attended, where this young naval officer has come to deliver dispatches, and when he gets ready to leave, he is murdered on his horse, basically just outside the main grounds of this house where this house party is happening. So Jane solves the mystery, and we learn, as most of Stephanie Barron's books do, a little bit about Regency period history, and in this case, the traditions of the 12 days and kind of what festivities happen. And again, I picked it up because I thought it was a great book for the holiday season. It was timely in that fashion. And I have read, I think, all but the last 3 of the Jane and the series, which I have waiting for me on the bookshelf, which I'm hoping to get to this year in 2021. So a fun book for the season. It was on sale at Amazon for, I think, either 99 cents or $1.99, something inexpensive. So if you've read other books by Stephanie Barron and enjoyed them, this is one not quite in the series, but definitely in the same venue. So you would probably like that one too. And it's a great historical mystery. You can read it completely as a standalone without needing to have read the other books in the series. Okay, the next book I read is called Your Perfect Year. I thought that this book was going to be kind of a lightweight romantic comedy type book, because that's really how it was billed on Amazon. This was, again, something I picked up that was like a sale book from a listserv. It is not exactly. It kind of winds up being that, and I'm not sure if the reason I had a hard time with this book is because the translation of it wasn't very good. It was originally written in German, I believe, and then translated into English. And it wasn't that the words didn't make sense. I mean, I think that part of the translation was fine. I just am not sure if the storyline of the book translated very well as an English book. So, like I said, I thought this was a fairly light romantic comedy. The book is billed where this guy who's out for a run on January 1st, he's the get up at 6 a.m. and go running every day, no matter what. He finds on his bicycle handles, which he's biked over to this park he runs in. When he comes back from his run, he finds this little satchel that has a Filofax day planner in it. And when he opens it, he realizes that it's for the next year, for the January he's just started. And whoever owned the book has written positive sayings and on every day, and every day is challenging the person who is reading the diary to do something positive for themselves. And he doesn't know who's left this book for him. He thinks it's a mistake, but he gets kind of drawn into making a bunch of life changes that affect his life in a very positive way from this sort of unknown benefactor. The way the book is presented in the little blurb, it sounds like there's this young woman who's looking for kind of her perfect man, and she's randomly chosen this guy, and she's left the Filofax for him to find. And then it culminates with them meeting later in the year and going on a date and that kind of stuff. So that isn't really what happens. There is a young woman. She is trying to make major changes in the life of her current boyfriend, who she feels maybe isn't approaching a very difficult time in his life with the right mindset. So she creates this book for her boyfriend and is planning to spend the year kind of helping him grow and helping him move through this difficult time in his life in the hopes of something better. And obviously signals get crossed and this other guy winds up with the book. This is not a light book. If you have any triggers whatsoever about suicide, do not read this book. It's a little bleaker than I would even call just basic fiction. It does end on a positive note, so that's good. But it's definitely not like a light read. Again, I think it's kind of a timely book in the sense that this time of year is a great time to reassess and make plans and maybe choose things that you want to do that are outside your comfort zone. But I don't think I'm going to be recommending this book. I just was kind of confused about whether it was supposed to be humorous or supposed to be kind of a self-help book. I'm just not sure how to even tell you kind of what genre it fits into beyond that. But anyway, there you go. I read it. Check that off my list. And finally, I read a great British mystery. This is the first in a series called The Body in the Dales. It's set in the Yorkshire Dales, and it focuses on a body that is found in one of the limestone caves in the area. And the police are tasked with, well, obviously solving the mystery, because that's the whole point, but also figuring out how the body got there, because it's in a very inaccessible part of the caves. And it's kind of your small town type mystery where there's lots of folks who don't like the person who's been found murdered. There's pretty much everybody in town could be a suspect. He was kind of a jerk, and so they're having a difficult time narrowing the pool of potential people down because there are so many of them. And then a second body is found. And so the police chief or the main detective, I guess I would say, who winds up ultimately solving this case, and his two assistants who are younger, but also very crackerjack at what they do. They wind up having to do some research and some history into the early 19th century cavers who went down and explored the caves initially. And the book is filled with all kinds of interesting local trivia about this area in Yorkshire. And so if you like that BBC mystery kind of books, this one is a lot of fun. It's really quite good. Several red herrings thrown in there, but if you are following along, you can kind of start to tease out the clues, certainly to figure out how the body got there by the end of the mystery, and then who is ultimately responsible for it. So a good read, and I have the next two in the series as well, so look for those sometime in 2021. One of the things, sorry, my dog's making noise. Hang on. Sorry about that, delivery from FedEx. So what my plan is for 2021 is to go through, I've already gone through and sorted, but I have a lot of books, print books that my folks have sent me that I'd like to get read. And I believe I have 25 or 30 books kind of queued up on my Kindle that I've picked up in those 99-cent type sales. And so my plan is to try to get through those this year and then see what else I have time and interest in. It just would be nice to have a little extra space on the bookshelves. And my mom has been sending on mysteries to me in the hopes that I will read them and then send them on to California to my aunt, my mom's sister. So that's the plan for the book reading. I think I'm at 92 books for this year. So for 2021, I think I'm going to try to go for 100 and see where that gets me. I've really enjoyed being able to have a book on tape to listen to while I knit or cross stitch, and I much prefer that to watching television. So I think I'm going to also continue that trend next year. I have a couple of books already loaded in that I got. Audible had a couple of 2 first sales this past year that you could use your one credit to get 2 books. So I have a couple of things I'm also looking forward to being able to listen to. So that will be the plan for 2021. And now we'll go on and move towards cross stitch for this past couple of weeks. Okay, so I have 3 projects that I have worked on the last 10 days or so. One that I focused on quite a bit, and the other 2 that are a little bit less, but progress is progress. The first of these is Long Dog Sampler's The Pilgrim. So I've just been working on this a day or so each month. I think we've been doing it for 9 months. Kim over at Spartan Stitcher and I had committed to doing a day or 2 a month on our Long Dog Sampler. She's doing the Templar Prophecy and I'm doing the Pilgrim. So I put in my day and a half, I guess I would call it, on this. And I am stitching this 1 strand of floss over 2 on a 36 count linen in the colorway Butternut from Crossed Wing Designs. I'm not going to go into too much detail on these because everything's going to show up in my Whip Parade, which I'm going to film next. But I came over and I basically worked this section of the Kelpie, which is, so I'm working kind of in here. It was a lot of fill in, I'm not going to lie to you, but I got the mane done where it attaches to the waves, brought the border up a little bit, and then worked on that section. I'm using a single strand of silk, hand dyed from Silks for You. It's kind of a periwinkle blurple color. So worked on that this go round. And the piece that I spent the most time on was a Heaven and Earth design chart. It's the ornament of Donna Gelsinger's A Long Winter's Nap. And I thought that was appropriate. You could tell I'm all about the seasonal things right now. I was really happy with the progress I got on this go round. I had finished this page earlier this year, and this is the center page that I had already completed. So I went that way and got to the side border, and you can see kind of started to come down the curve of the shape, but got that page completely finished during this time out. I put about 6,500 stitches into it. It's not a complete page, but that got me over to that side. So much fun working on this. It was like the perfect sweet spot of confetti and huge blocks of color, mostly 310. But anyway, that gets me over to this side right here. Okay, I have one strand of hair that does not want to play nice. Okay, then last but not least, I decided to pull out the Huckleberry Farm by the Blue Flower. This is a piece I started this year. This is actually design came out this year, so started this year. I had this piece right here, the house, finished, and I am working this way on it. I'm stitching this 1/2 on a 35 count hand-dyed linen from the Primitive Hair. And this is where I am. All of the colors of floss that I'm using are either Color and Cotton or Gentle Arts, and it's my own color conversion. So I had this little border started, so I finished it all the way out here to kind of just like mark my place there. And then I've worked on this section right there with the bear. So I have left the detail to do like his face, his ear, this little bit of trim right here, and I have the white caps of the mountains left to finish. So making good progress on this. I'll work on this through the end of the year, just to get some stitch time into it, and then move on to next year's plans. So I'm not going to also talk very much about those because, like I said, I'm going to be filming my Floss Tube Whip Parade here in just another minute after I clean up the mess that exists. But for those of you who are my normal visitors, thank you so much for coming back to spend some time with me today. If you're new, welcome, and I hope that you have a reason to come back and visit with me again. For everybody, I hope that you've had a happy holiday season, and I think we're all ready for 2021 to come and kind of give us a fresh slate to do other things with this year. I'm looking forward to it. I've got lots of stuff planned, and just feel like, you know, there's a lot of positive things that hopefully are coming down the pike for all of us in the next year. No year's ever perfect, but 2021 was not very much to write home about. So I feel like really we can just all go upwards. It's only an improvement from here. So with all of that, I hope that you have a wonderful New Year's weekend, plenty of time for crafting, and here's to a great 2021, y'all. So I will talk to you all in the new year with my normal videos. That'll be in January. And then if you are interested in my whip parade for cross stitch, stay tuned because that's coming up next, probably in the menu list. So thanks for watching, y'all. Take care. Bye for now.